0. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers, sisters, friends, and enemies, welcome to We Act Radio. We're broadcasting live on the radical side of Martin Luther King Avenue in the underbelly of the nation's capital, the foothill, the cedar hill, the line of Anacostia, the Frederick Douglass home. I am Kymone Freeman, angry black man in therapy. I am joined by some illustrious guests here in the studio today. I'm just honored to be with them. And this is a new year. And every new year we should do new things. And I am honored to have the District of Columbia Office of Planning here and one of the largest independent media outlets, not only in the city, but the only newspaper east of the river here. And we're talking about the fact that DC is often thought of as a city of monuments, but most commemorative works in our city honor subjects of national importance, and very few honor the lived experiences and contributions of Black Washingtonians and people of color. And to address this issue, the Office of Planning has launched Commemorate, an initiative to identify Washingtonians to honor in DC neighborhoods. And before I get a list of some of those people who've been nominated to be honored, I want to introduce you to Miss Denise Rolark-Barnes, the award-winning journalist and editor of Washington Informer. Her father is one of the nominees, and also Anita, Cozart, who is with the Office of Planning. Maybe I should take it from there, or do you want me to give the people the names of some of the people who's being honored? Maybe we should start there, because it's kind of like a blessing, you know, pour a little bit of libations. Okay. All right, so nice long list, and I believe all of them deserve to be acknowledged. Top of the list is one of my picks, and that is Miss Wilhelmina Rolark. She was the stepmom of Miss Denise Rolark-Barnes. She was a civil rights and community activist, and also a Ward 8 council member here for a number of years. I mean, 16 years. That's man-berry numbers. She's put up berry numbers. And she was also the first person to write me a check. I want to thank her so much for her support that launched the Black Love Festival, which was the largest AIDS mobilization in the city for 6 years, and also was the underpinnings of the creation of We Act Radio. So thank you to Ms. Wilhelmina Rolark. The Goodman League, for those who are unaware, the Goodman League is an independent basketball summer league, famous in DC. It's a local community basketball league that started in 1975. Good Hope Road, we honored the road? Okay, I guess we honor the road because we lost Good Hope Road. It's now Marionberry Avenue. So maybe that's where we're getting at for the long-established historic road in Southeast. What's the brother's name? I said the brother. John Wilkes Booth, the assassin of Lincoln, made his getaway down Good Hope Road, by the way. But also Freddie Douglass, walked home that way. So, and of course, Marionberry, civil rights activist and co-founder of Pride Incorporated and 4-term mayor of Washington, D.C. Marionberry. The 9 Lives of Marionberry, I think everybody should watch that so they can get an appreciation of who he was. And love this man. We have a mural of him behind our studios here. Ralph Waldo Petey Green. If you're unfamiliar with Petey Green, you can check out Talk to Me, starring Don Cheadle and DC's own Taraji P. Henson, who is underpaid. All right. MLK Parade, which Denise is one of the sponsors for, and hope you will join us here on January 15th. Not only on the radical side of Martin Luther King Avenue, but on both sides, the Dream and the radical side. MLK Parade will be starting on Martin Luther King and Malcolm X Avenue. All right. That's, of course, on January 15th. And we're going to end on Marionberry right here at We Act Radio. So you can come down to the radical side. And, of course, Frederick Douglass. Don't need to say any more about Frederick Douglass. The natl'l Native Americans. Help me out. natl'l?
Yes.
I'll put it on the spot, let you know. Okay. It says Indians. I prefer natives or indigenous people, but it says indigenous people with a thriving trading culture, that was displaced. All right, you know that story. So these are the nominees, and I feel like I'm missing somebody. Let me make sure I got everybody here. Yeah, because Dorothy Irene Height is on this list, isn't she?
No.
She's not. Okay, that was my favorite because I have a Dorothy Irene Height story here. So those are the nominees. Now let's talk about the bread and pudding of putting this on, and we'll start with the Office of Planning. Miss Anita.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Kymone, for hosting us, and so nice to be on the panel with Ms. Barnes. So I'm Anita Cozart. I'm the director at the Office of Planning, and one of the things that's important to us as we think about the growth and development of the District of Columbia is really thinking about how the culture is represented and our history is represented. And we have an amazing opportunity in our public spaces. And what do I mean by that? I mean our streets, our sidewalks, our plazas, even our alleys are places for us to commemorate that history and culture. And as Kymone mentioned, in many ways, we have some work to do as it relates to representation across the board. And so when you think about some of the names that were just read off, this is an awesome opportunity for us to bring the stories and the impact of those individuals to streets and sidewalks and alleys in Ward 8. And I would say that this in particular is an opportunity to think about the community pride that comes from significant people and significant events. And it's also a chance for people to engage and learn history. And so the Office of Planning, we are, in our formal role, we staff the Commemorative Works Committee. And that's the committee that really helps to approve these things on a formal basis. And on a personal basis, as a parent of Washingtonians, I'm excited about the opportunity for them to freely walk through on the sidewalks and engage and learn about our history. And I think that's important for them to also be able to see themselves in the city and see that history and how that relates to the legacy that they can put forward. So when we think about commemoration, and we're calling this Commemorate as a project, and we think about that, it's both about the people and the places. And so one of the things that we're excited to do is to partner with organizations. So in Ward 8, we're partnering with the Anacostia Bid to really start to identify both the people and start to think about the places where we want to have these installations of art. So when you think about commemorative works, you may think about traditional ones like some of us are familiar with the statue of Marion Barry that's at the Wilson Building on Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest. So that's a traditional one. There's also ones that you can think about, like the installation that's at Marvin Gaye Park, honoring the late singer and famed musician from DC. And you can think about lighting installations that you've seen, to the extent that there are ways to think about murals and other visual arts that actually speak to the history and the impact of the individuals that we're talking about. That is what we want to bring about. So it's both commemorating people who have not been recognized and commemorating them in a way that is really related to and promotes a sense of belonging for us as Washingtonians. And especially as we think about Black Washingtonians that have not been commemorated, and we think about women as well. So that's something that is a driving force. And so that's Commemorate, and we're happy to partner. Ward 8, we're partnering with the Anacostia Bid, like I mentioned. And you have opportunities to vote by January 19th about amongst the list that was there. And you can visit anacostiabid.org to do some of that voting. And the bid is also doing some visits through the neighborhood to be able to allow people to make that vote. And once we have the individuals selected, one of the things that the Office of Planning is bringing to this is designers who can help you think about what's the experience when you walk up to the lighting installation, or you walk up to the mural, or you walk up to the statue. How do you engage? How do you engage if, regardless of your age, your background, your ability, your disability, etc. And so that's what the design process is going to bring in, and we're also coupling that with public artists, courtesy of the Commission on Arts and Humanities. So that's a little bit about Commemorate. We're excited about it, and we're really grateful to the partners that we've had, and grateful for the opportunity to talk about it.
And Ms. Barnes?
Well, first of all, I want to say about time.
Yeah.
It's about time. And it's about time in a lot of ways. One, I don't know how this ties into the legislation that Councilmember Kenyon McDuffie was pushing, but I know that I remember we reported on that a while back, that he wanted to see more monuments and installations and recognition of local Washingtonians. So, and because people look at Washington as a national city, but we're a local town, you know. And as one who, I don't care where I go, I want to learn about the local culture. We sponsor Washington Informer Charity sponsors an annual African American Heritage Tour, and part of that, we've done 3 here in the District of Columbia, and every time we learn something new about our city and the people who contributed to this city. So I'm truly excited, Kymone, like you, that finally, my father, Dr. Rolark, has received recognition, but not the kind that I think he could have and should have, and this is no hard feelings, you know, because I think the people who have been commemorated in various ways deserved it. But it was...
But talk about how your father deserved it.
Oh yeah, he definitely deserved it as publisher, founder of the Washington Informer, and also the founder of the United Black Fund, which funded over 100 nonprofit organizations in the District of Columbia who got off the ground because of that funding. And there's so much more that he did in the city that, just personally, that I think deserves some type of recognition like this. We were able to get a street named after, finally, actually this summer, you know, commemorative street naming after him and my stepmother on Foxhall Place, where they lived over 25 years. And so my stepmother's another one who I think really has sort of been lost in the sauce. I mean, we have cable television because of her. We have, whether we like the way it functions or not, but we have a complete, a commission that reviews police brutality cases and what have you because of her. There's a lot, because she chaired the Judiciary Committee for the District of Columbia and several really important committees. We are still living off of the work that she did in the District of Columbia. And she was the backbone, the lawyer behind The Voice. Not that my father was just a voice, but, you know, if he was going to jump out there and fight for or against something, he ran it past his lawyer first. And it just so happened to be the one that he lived with. So that made life real convenient. But, you know, you have, of course, the streets and the other places on this list, which I think are amazing. But if we sit and think of all the people, and because of my longevity now in this life, I can think of more, and I'm sure that's what you all will be looking for as this process continues, because there's so many folks who are no longer with us, even in this ward, who also deserve recognition. And when you think, I have to say this in addition, when I just look at some of the graduates from our high schools, Anacostia and Ballou, and where they are today, they may not come back and engage with the Alumni Association, which is one of my concerns, that the school system is not using us like they should be to help support our local students. We've got a lot to give and offer. We have some big alumni associations, but we just get together once a year for a big event, raise money, and give it to the school. But there are some real heroes and sheroes that came out of our public schools. And those are 2 that I can think of. So I'm excited. I think it's a great idea. I want folks to vote. I mean, it's like any other campaign. You want people to really express their choice and to vote. And so I encourage everybody that's listening to this to go where we can go, and you'll tell us where that is, so that we can get our choices selected. So.
Okay. Yes, and you have a chance to vote for the person or event you want to honor in your community. You can go voting in Ward 8 is open now until January 19th, and that's 4 days after Martin Luther King Parade. Want to make sure we'll plug that. But you can vote today at anacostabid.org for your selections of Ward 8. I want to thank Anacostia Bid, who one of the partners who promoted this initiative and handed out flyers at ANC meetings, civic associations, and mailed over 9,000 postcards to residents. And for those who don't know, the Anacostia Bill held a nomination event on October 19th at the Anacostia Arts Center that included a performance by verbal gymnastics who acted out memorable moments with significant people or events experienced by those attending. And that's how we came to these names. And I want to thank the Anacostia Bill again for reminding me that I left off 5 people from this nomination of 13 selections. That includes DC's own Chuck Brown, that needs no further explanation, the Godfather. Albert Butch Hopkins, who was a great businessman and visionary for economic development in DC, and one of the initial supporters of React Rail. Shout out to Butch. And Go-Go Music itself is now the official music of DC, and we're right next door to the future site of the Go-Go Museum. And last but not least, the Dr. Calvin Rolark, the father of this wonderful young lady here, who so humbly did not mention the fact that I left her dad off this list, but mentioned her stepmom. I'm sorry, I never got to meet your wonderful father. I'm so sorry I did not get a chance to meet this great man. I think I would have loved him as much as you, because everything I learned about him is just more love. So I want to say that we have 13 people, places, and events, and I'm getting gang signs in the back. And I said last but not least, I'm still leaving off that one in this little corner. And Dorothy Irene Height, I had a personal encounter for, and she put a call to my life, and she said they would never see you coming. And anytime I get in a tight spot, like what am I going to do, I'm reminded of this woman's voice in my ears. Because sometimes we get caught up on the how-to part, and that's not none of your business. Just do what you have the ability to do, and the two will unveil itself. You know, it's like a gift wrapping, you know. And I want to make sure that we understand that it's very significant the work that you guys are doing and undertaking with this. And I know Denise is humble, saying that was, no hard feelings that other people have been picked out. And this is kind of like a delayed injustice to see some of these people being acknowledged on the level they should be. It's not a little thing. This is a very big deal, because in DC we have circles, and in most of those circles there's a white man on a horse representing a military figure. And it wasn't until I went on the Egypt on the tour with local sensation historian Tony Browder, and he explained the significance of those men on their horses. And this is it. If you see the horse, and the horse is on all 4 hoofs, then the rider of that horse died of natural causes. If the horse has 1 hoof up, then the rider of that horse died of injuries incurred in battle. And if the horse is reared up on his hind legs, then the rider of the horse died on the battlefield. That is, for those who understood that, they have that information. And we walk by aimlessly thinking it's just a statue, and it has a deeper meaning. And when we see things that we identify with, reflect us, and our people that we love and things that we honor, then that gives us a deeper meaning. And it makes us value everything else around us that much more. That is the power that signs, symbols, and art can do. So I want to thank again the Office of Planning for putting this off and pushing this out there. But can you tell us how this came about, and what was the genesis that brought it about?
Sure. Thank you. Because the company moved through the city and saw military figures on horses, and that's what they saw. And then another was a little bit more of an assessment and a review. And the National Capital Planning Commission, which is the kind of federal counterpart to the Office of Planning that thinks about kind of the mall and all of the federal, many of them and ones that come before even the Commemorative Works Committee are sponsored by embassies because they have resources to put it together. So we understood that there is a disparity in both the presence of commemoration in wards 4, 5, 7, and 8, and then also the resources and the connection to a Commemorative Works Committee, or connection to others who might be able to give technical assistance and financial assistance to put forward some of that. So that's why we're starting our work in wards 4, 5, 7, and 8, because you looked at that data And we coupled that with what we had heard from others about the challenges and thought that that was the place that we start. And we do have a bigger, grander vision to make sure that this is across the district, but we wanted to start in the places where there was the greatest disparity, and we feel like there's a lot of lessons for us to learn. For us, this is a small but mighty effort, mighty in the aspirations we have, small and modest in the resources that we have. We're looking to do one commemorative work in each of those wards. We think that's the sufficient way to make sure that we do it in a way that, again, partners with community, that creates more awareness of Commemorate, and brings people along as it relates to this. So that's kind of the genesis and kind of the orientation that we've taken to Commemorate.
Can I tell a story?
Please.
Because you told your horse story, which I thought was great.
That's Tony Browder's story.
Right. And I know we're not talking about, naming buildings or any of that, I don't think. But I just, when I attended school, Ribaud Junior High School, and think about it, I'm in the 7th grade. I go to Ribaud and I'm like, who is this? Because it was the way it was spelled. It wasn't R-A-B-O-W, Ribaud, R-A-B-A-U-T. And at the 7th grade, Kymone, I'm like, who is this Ribaud? Louis Charles Ribaud. It was the newest elementary school in the District of Columbia, in Ward 4. And I looked it up. And so, do you know who Louis Charles Ribaud is?
I do not.
You?
No, I didn't.
He is the congressman who put under God in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that thrilling? How much work it takes to have a building or a commemorative statue or something named after you? Just 2 words. The people that you all or we as a community will select have done so much more. They have done so much more. And so, when we look at our local school names, we look at our street names, there's so many things that we just take for granted. And if we really look into those, a lot of things will be changed in the city if we wanted it to reflect our communities. And so I'm really excited again about this effort. DC is a diverse city, right? And so, does Chinatown have to be the only place where Chinese American can be honored? The Latino community was pretty much centered in Adams Morgan. We have folks who served on our school board and other places. Are they being included? I'm looking forward to more of this. And if it's renaming, reshuffling, whatever, I'm supporting my 2 though. Calvin and Wilhelmina Rolark.
All right. Now, we have a call to action here that we at Great Alma here is to do something. So we want to make sure that we know our next step is to select from the nominations, all 13 nominations, and identify sites for these works, which can be murals, mosaics, light installations, statues, and more. So I like that you widened the game out, stretching it out to make it a multimedia presentation. So it's not just one thing. And I like that because sometimes statues just draw pigeons. We want to have something a little bit more beyond that. And people have a chance to vote again for your community selection. In Ward 8 is at anacostabid.org, and it's open until January 19th. Now, can you talk about, because this is happening in Wards 4, 5, 7, and 8. How do people participate in this, selecting their nominations outside of Ward 8? Okay.
So for 4, 5, 7, and 8, we've got a little bit of a head start, and so we've got our nominations there, and we've had our voting in those wards. And so the next step is really joining. We're going to be bringing on the designers that I mentioned and the public artists. The next step is joining us on some walking tours, joining us at community conversations about the design and the siting of those particular individuals, and what is the design idea related to that. What is the whether it's a mosaic or a statue or a light installation, having those conversations. And the best way to keep up with that, if you prefer the old school, you can give us a call at 202-442-7600 and just say that you're interested in Commemorate. You can also visit online. The website is publicinput, all one word, .com /CWTAP as in Paul. And so if you sign up there for our newsletter, you'll be able to get updates on that and find out when we're doing those walkthroughs in wards 4, 5, 7, and 8, and learn more about our partners that are there.
All right.
Yeah, just a quick question. Is the voting limited to the ward, if you understand? Like, could people in Ward 4 vote for Ward 8 or 8 vote for 7? How does that work?
So you can. We are strongly encouraging that it's folks in those wards who vote. We do not exclude them, just to be clear.
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because everyone thinks I'm the first president of the council, so it seems that I live here, I work here, I have lived here. I lived here for 8 years, but I don't currently live here. I live in Brooklyn. So I wanted to make sure that was addressed because obviously I got some skin in the game east of the river and also have skin in the game in Ward 5. But I also want to have a little caveat addressed here because we're talking about the local, the national, the international ramifications of DC. That's our culture. But we're trying to big up our local heroes here. So I hope that in doing so, when your partnership with the Office of Planning and DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities and their expert design services and the Public Arts through the Commemorative Work Technical Assistance Program will include local artists in those commemorations. I hope that is fair. Put a little challenge out there because sometimes we look outside of our circles without actually utilizing the resources we have inside our circles. So I want to make sure that's put out there. So I hope that the local artists will have an opportunity to participate and be selected in these multimedia exhibitions. And in closing, I want to make sure that I give an opportunity for each of you to address what is it you're looking for? What is something that you want to see personally? For example, Denise, how would you like to see your father honored? Is there any particular thing that you are predisposed to you would like to see? Do you want to see a statue? Maybe you don't want a pigeon on your father's image. What is something that you want to see happen? And also, Miss Anita, who is very colorfully dressed today, what artistically would you like to see in one of these installations? I'll leave it to you, ladies.
So since you asked, my father, it was his voice. So there's some way to get his voice. And I mean, to this day, if it is to be, it is up to me. No one can say it was for us but us. And I have another joke, but I won't tell that one, that he used to say to me all the time. But, it was just something, you give my father a microphone and he would holler. I'm like, the microphone amplifies your voice. But he, so he had this booming voice. He did a radio show for 12 years straight on WYCB Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday nights. And so anything that would amplify that voice, I don't know what that would be. And then for my stepmother, I think just the fact that I would love people to be able to see her as a woman, who really stood for women. She was the founder of the National Association of Black Women Attorneys. I mean, and she loved children, but she really tried to support women because she felt women never really got, the recognition. So I don't know how I don't have that artistic eye. I mean, words, but not eyes.
But you got good taste.
I will leave that to a vote on what those selections are. But if either one of them, that's kind of what I would like to see.
No, I love that, and it makes me think about a temporary installation that was on the National Mall that some of you all may have seen, the Beyond Granite presentation. Now that was much more of a kind of international and national focus, bringing those kind of stories for basically people of color and Black people who had not been told, and Indigenous people that had not really been told on the mall. And what I liked about it is that it was colorful. It did also include sound and amplified sound and amplified music. And so that is for us. I think success would be that multimedia, that we want to encourage people to break out. That's why we have artists who are part of this, and I think I will be able to say and confirm later if we can 100% meet the challenge that Kymone put out there, but that's certainly our intent. But this idea that we break out of what we see in front of us and really channel what it is about the individuals that was notable and find a way to represent that in public space. I know that we can do that. And that's what I'm excited about, those conversations that we're going to have, and ultimately the public works that'll come, or excuse me, the commemorative works that'll come about.
Okay. All right, well, hopefully since Washington, D.C. displaced more black people than New York City, that the people who are no longer district residents former district residents will be able to chime in and be accommodated. I don't know if that's okay with you guys, but I just want to put that out there as we at Grado do something, so we will make sure we put that challenge out there. Because I know a lot of people are from D.C. who are no longer in D.C., and they would definitely love to be able to chime in, so I hope they will be accommodated. Again, if you want to have a chance to vote in person for the person or the event you want to honor in your community, you can do so at Ward 8, contacting anacossabid.org until January 19th, 4 days after the MLK Day Parade. And you can also go to publicinput.com/CWTAP, publicinput.com/CWTAP, or old school, as Ms. Anita said, 202-442-7600. You can call them at 202-442-7600 for each of the wards 4, 5, 7, and 8, and join us this spring as they conduct site visits, hold community conversations, and around this commemoration, and develop designs for 4 commemorative works in wards 4, 5, 7, and 8. I really want to hear what your father's voice sounds like, and I want to know what he told you that you don't want to share over each and every one of us. All right, I want to thank again the Office of Planning, our guests here today, Anita Washington. This has been Kymone Freeman and the Black Man in Therapy, representing We Act Radio on the radical side of Monarchy Avenue. And if it is to be, it's up to me. It's up to we. I like that one. Yeah. We have a quote on top of the wall that says, "I'm the master of my fate, the control of my destiny. If it is to be, it's up to we." Thank y'all for tuning in. Please do something and make sure this year is the best year. One love.